Welcome back to another episode of YERBA Travels. And I bet you're asking yourself, come on, Jeff, are you serious when you say we can travel the world without actually leaving home? Yeah. And we're going to talk about that today. So let's just jump right in because today I'm going to introduce 5 different ways that you can travel the world basically and experience culture without ever leaving your city or without even leaving your home. So let's jump into number 1. Now, if you guys have watched any previous episodes, you guys know darn well that I love food, especially when I travel. I travel mainly because I like the flavors of things, whether it's the spiciness of a kimchi jjigae in South Korea or the delicious yerba mate from Argentina. But I also like the sweets of Turkish delights and everything around the world. So that's actually number 1 is traveling through food. Well, what do I mean? Food is a way to embrace not only culture, but also history. Think about grandma's old recipe. I bet you can remember the taste of that, right? Now, what if we took that idea and we were able to get food from grocery stores or restaurants? That's the first way to experience culture around the world. Now, you might live in a big city or out in the suburbs or possibly even out in the countryside, but you can always find some sort of international restaurant in your area, especially if you're in the big cities. So my advice is to just go try one, right? Try out the Indian restaurant that's downtown or the Korean restaurant, the Thai restaurant. You pick. That's first. If you guys don't have one of those, maybe you've got an international market that's close to you. Now, some of the international markets could have a collection of items from around the world where they have different sections. They got the Middle Eastern section, the Asian section, the South American section, or even more specific areas. Go check those out. And what I really like about food is a couple things. First, you can look online for recipes before you go to the markets or even the restaurants. And you can read reviews about how the food tastes, right? Is it spicy? Is it savory? And then you can ask the waitress if you're inside of a restaurant, hey, what do you think about this? Is it too spicy? Which item on here is a savory dish, or which dessert is the sweetest? Which one's your favorite? You can always ask or look it up online first. Another thing you can do while in the market, and this is one of my favorite things because I get to interact with people, is I typically ask a worker or a manager that's there, hey, what's a popular dish from your home country? And can you help me find the items around here to make it? So food it's more than just culture, right? It's more than just taste as well. A lot of recipes get passed down generation to generation. So that's the first thing you can do. Go find an international restaurant, some Japanese restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, etc. Or find a local mart, take it home, make it a family thing, cook with your husband or wife or your children, and make something fun out of it. All right, number 2. Number 2 is reading books or articles or online blogs. Books have this remarkable ability to transport us, different lands, different time periods, and you can really get a sense of culture through books. And I got to give a lot of respect right now to authors out there because it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of research to really write a book. And authors are trying to express that, not just the story itself, but how do the characters interact, right? How does the culture play on the plot of the story? They really dig deep into that. One book I just started reading is called The Trencher Man. Now, this is a South African book that I just got into. A great friend of mine, a South African colleague, actually, gave this to me. And just in the first 20 pages, there's a lot of things that I sense from it. One, the vocabulary that they use, some of it's new to me. It really gives me a look into how they communicate with each other, the people of the book. And two, if you're not familiar with South Africa in particular, many of them use Afrikaans, a different language. So part of the book is mixing languages in there and how they have to translate back to English, or we call it code switching back to English. So I really like that. So I'm getting vocabulary, I'm getting information. It actually started with the main characters in Australia. So it's all these things combined is really fascinating. Another thing about reading, and many of you might have this same experience, where you have friends, coworkers from different locations around the world, maybe just interactions through videos on YouTube, etc. But when I started reading this, I could actually hear my good friend's voice, like he was the main character almost. So I got that accent and dialogue. It was his, but I get these layers of information. It's the vocabulary, the communication, the accents, the intonation, the way people speak. It really allows me to kind of go deep into the South African side. And I'm really excited to really get into it, to learn more about that culture. Another famous author, one that I really enjoy, probably my favorite, is Paulo Coelho. And if you haven't read The Alchemist yet, you're missing out. Go get the book, go download it, go buy it. You're going to love the book. It's about a young man who travels, who's basically on a journey, and he goes through Northern Africa. I'm not going to spoil anything. I'll leave it there, but fantastic read. So I really like how these stories, these novels, you can read blogs. That's another thing I love to do, is other people's travels, what they're doing, and get a sense of what life is like wherever they are. You get that. Blogs are good because they usually have pictures. And it's also the culture and emotion that comes out through the blogger themselves. So reading books is a fascinating way to learn about cultures around the world. Let's keep going. Let's go to number 3. Number 3 is another form of entertainment. And this is watching movies or TV shows. Now, almost everybody and their mother has some streaming service. Most popular in America is Netflix or Apple TV. And those are popular around the world, but each country also has their own. Here in South Korea, they have Watcha and a couple other ones. But almost all of the streaming services have international films, a lot of international films. Some of the more popular ones in the past that you guys could go watch are Okja. It's like a science fiction one. It's a bit older. Roma is another one that was critically acclaimed. So these, again, similar to books, they really video even more because you get to visualize it. You get to see what the director is thinking. You get to see that story more in person. Whereas books, you kind of create your own imagination of what's going on. You get to fill in blanks. With a movie, they try to do that for you. But some of them are just really gripping. And films show all parts of the world. Blood Diamond, a very old movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. The struggles of finding diamonds in basically the bloodbath that ensues throughout Africa. You get to see different sides. Now, some movies you may like, you may even agree with the director. Others you might watch and go, well, wait a minute, that's not really how it is. That is the joyous part of it, right? You get to take your experience and match it with whatever the director or writers have put out there for you. So that's number 3, right? Number 3, you're not just a viewer, you're a traveler through the lens of the directors. All right, number 4. Number 4, another entertainment, is listening to international music. I mentioned Netflix for videos, but Spotify has become very big. There are, again, other streaming services out there, but similar to the video streaming services, you can pick different genres of music to listen to. So let's take, for example, you you want to have a barbecue, but you want to switch things up, right? You don't want to listen to maybe country music or hip hop music. Maybe you want to listen to Latin dance music, and surprisingly enough, you're going to get people dancing. A lot of people pick up on those vibes. They pick up and they like to dance, and the energy increases, the mood changes. Dance music's a great one. Let's say you want to have a quiet dinner at home. Maybe put on some Italian opera. Might calm you, might set the mood a little bit, give you different options there. So music, similar to books, allows you to have your own interpretation. And that's one of the best things I like about music, whether listening to music in the car, cooking dinner, at a barbecue, whatever it may be, you get to interpret it. I'll be the first to tell you, I mentioned Italian, the Italian music, right? The orchestra. I don't know any Italian. I don't, a lot of people say, oh, I just listen to the words and it's moving. That's great for those people. For me, it's just a rhythm and an ambience to the music that would just kind of set my energy. So there's different reasons for it. And I think that's a fantastic thing about it. So that's number 4, is listening to international music. Helps with set the mood, change your emotions. It might pick you up a little bit. But you get the sounds from those countries. That's how it relates to culture, right? The Latin music, or the, what's it called? The Brazilian bossa nova music. Like, that's coming, these artists, it's coming from their soul, right? It's their history, their culture. It's coming out through music, and it's a fascinating experience. So international music is number 4. Number 5, and I saved this one for last because it's one of my favorite things to do, and it might be something new to you. Maybe you've never even thought about this before, but number 5 is doing a virtual walking tour. Now you might think, what is that? Well, on YouTube, there are websites you can go to, such as worldvirtualtours.online. Another example is heretotravel.com. Now, I'm not affiliated with those guys. I'm not being promoted. Those are just 2 that I've used. On YouTube, there is, I believe the guy's called VR Gorilla. Let me double check that really quick. But they have, VR Gorilla has like 360. VR Gorilla. Yeah, VR Gorilla, virtual reality and 3D videos. So these guys, the VR guys, they travel the world and they set up their 360 camera in places like Rome. This one I'm looking at here is Bulgaria. They've got Tokyo. They've got, all these different, Monaco, Lima. They go around the world and they set these up. But what's amazing is they give you a little bit of lesson on the culture and the history as you go through it. Now, the videos are not very long. They're very manageable. Some are about 10 minutes. I'll say 10 minutes on average. And you're getting to experience these places. A lot of places that maybe you want to visit in real life. Maybe it's Paris. Maybe it's Rome, Tokyo, Seoul. And maybe you just don't have the money to go there, or thousands of dollars for flights and hotels and food and transportation. Well, all in about 10 minutes, you get a history and cultural lesson, and you get a 360 view of some of these places around the world. It's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The age that we live in now does not require you necessarily to leave. Now, I'm not saying you should just stay home all the time. I'm a huge advocate of going to explore. But if you don't have the means or the time to do it, or maybe you're just looking for a way to kill time for 20 minutes, maybe you're waiting on the bus, these walking tours are a great way to do that. So with that, those are the 5 ways that you can experience culture without leaving home. So just to recap, cooking at home, international food, or visiting an international restaurant, reading books or blogs or articles from around the world, watching international movies, listening to international music, and going on a virtual walking tour. They're amazing. And if you have the time, you could actually incorporate all of those into one, right? Let's say you're going to go to the market. You're going to cook some tikka masala, a good curry dish. You're going to cook tikka masala. You're going to come home. You're going to maybe put on a podcast about India. You can listen to something like that, whether it's music, or you can listen to Indian music while you do it. After dinner, you're going to watch a movie. And then maybe before going to the market, or maybe while you're going to the market, waiting, whatever it is, you take a little tour of India through a virtual walking tour. You can make a whole day out of this, and you can incorporate all of these aspects into any experience that you want. That's the great beauty of it. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for coming here. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Were these helpful? Were they not helpful? Were you just going to go, shut up, Jeff, we already know this? Or, hey, I really love these ideas. Also, drop some more ideas for me down below in the comments section. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up if you like this. Hit that subscribe so you can get more information about travel, culture, and just experience around the world. And I'll talk to you next time. See ya.